Well, now that I have a 3D printer, I can start doing some cool stuff. And I don't know the model of this, but it's a little Craftsman wire cutter thing I have. It's also pretty good for trees and stuff that's generally soft. But it uses what I believe they call an anvil, or how they refer to it. And basically, it's a cutting surface for the blade to push down through. And over time, these get cut into because, well, it's plastic and the blade is steel. So you see there's a little groove in that, which basically makes this unusable if you're cutting something like computer cords off power supplies, because the wires will get pushed into that little crevice and then the blade can't reach it and cut through it. So I've tried to really crudely make a model. Something's not quite right. There's a bevel here, and I don't know if I got all the dimensions correct, but I'm gonna find out. And since this is the test piece, I'm gonna be printing it at 10% infill on my 3D printer. But yeah, I gotta copy the file to the SD card and then go from there, and we'll see what happens. Well, an hour later and my print is done. Hopefully the time lapse turned out well. And yeah, now the only thing left to do is remove it. I don't know why, but I always like removing this little strip first. And we're gonna remove the print surface to remove the print. Should be pretty easy to peel off since it's long. There we go. That's a little bit of a mess that I'll have to scrape off probably, but yeah, just this is always the hardest part to get off. There we go. Gotta find the right weak point to poke at it. And just trying to eyeball that. Whoa, not even close. And a little bit of support material I'm going to break off. I don't know how hard that's going to be to remove. See if I can just pry at it with my scrape spatula. I think I need to cut it off. Yeah, it's going to need some finagling, it looks like. I wasn't confident in being able to print that overhang with nothing under it, so I did the support structure. So here's the new part, and here's the original. Whoops. Something went off the rails. It's close, but I don't think it's going to work. And the problem is, I don't know how to fix what I did, so I'm going to have to start from scratch. And I might use something else that's not Tinkercad. Oh, wow. Actually, you know what? It looks silly, but it might actually be closer than I thought it was. Let's see here. Don't have a screwdriver on hand, unfortunately. Ah. Well, it's only somewhat of a fail. Let's see here. Yeah. I mean, I got it somewhat right. Holes don't line up, it protrudes too far. Yeah, it protrudes too far. And there's really no way to fix this, unfortunately. Like, I can't like trim this down or anything. This is just kind of how it's going to be. I don't understand what went so wrong. This overhang's not supposed to be that big. I clearly measured or did something wrong. I think the easiest thing is going to be just to start from scratch and try again. But for a first try, I mean, at least I was halfway right. Honestly, I'll probably use this one to see how well it holds up. What I'm gonna have to do is decide where I'm gonna modify this. Let's see. I think I'm gonna drill out this hole a little bit to get the positioning correct, then screw that in, and then that one I might drill out as well. It'd be really nice if I could push this all the way back, but I don't think this will be strong enough to hold up for me to drill through both these places, because there's basically going to be nothing in there with 10% infill. This is pretty much hollow. It doesn't sound much more hollow, I guess, when I dropped it than the other stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Where these holes are actually where they need to be, it's not like there needs to be structure there, because those are mostly just to keep this from sliding out, and this plate here will stop it from pushing down. So I might end up just drilling it out and hoping for the best. But yeah, and the fitment's a little looser than the original one, but the screws will clamp that down. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill those holes out real quick, and then I'll be back to show what it looks like. Alright, well, got the holes drilled out. It's these two forward ones. So that's how far off I was. And yeah, so we'll just slide this where it ends up going. And oops, other side. We'll thread these screws through, hopefully. Might be a little bit of a tight fit, we'll find out. I drilled the holes out a little small because I didn't want to have to worry about damaging my tool. But actually these are going in nice so far. Clamp it down nice and tight. Really all these screws, or these holes in the bottom part is just a way to hold the position. Well, something's not quite right. Oh, there we go, it's starting to screw. I think that hole's a little crooked. I should have grabbed some wire to cut. Ooh. Something's wrong. Oh, I think I'm hitting. Well, it's not going to work too well because I'm crashing into the back of this with the tool. Looks like just with the force of me pulling on it, I'm pushing a little into the plastic, but yep, so it's definitely drawing board material. Also, it's a lot stiffer than normal. I think the thickness of the anvil is influencing the tightness of the hinge. Yeah, loosening that up made it a little better. But yeah, probably can't show in there, but yeah, that's not gonna work. But one thing we can test is cutting something in half. This is just a little support pillar from a print, and squeeze it down a little extra hard, cut in that anvil. Looks like the surface held up pretty good. I'm gonna have to use this with some other stuff, but I think once I get the dimensions and stuff correct, this might actually be a viable replacement. guess what I can do is I can pull this out real quick and show what is happening to the back of it a little better. So the back extends out too far, which is running into the support of the tool and then the hinge mechanism. So deep down in there, whoops, that's all crashing into the back of my print. And it's mashing this down. What I would be kind of tempted to do is just cut this off, which I probably could. Well, it took me an hour to print, let's ruin it. Ooh, nope, that's gonna mush down. I'll probably have to cut it with like a saw blade or something, but I guess it could trim this off. Let's see. Ooh, let me see how hollow it is on the inside now. Oops. Little plastic bits going everywhere. There's pieces of ABS all over my office now. So what I could probably do is trim this down, since this isn't really a structural piece. Do this on the other side of the camera so I don't get plastic all over my printer. Honestly, with the way this printed, might actually cut the whole back off if I wanted to. Let's just kind of do an eyeball test fit though. Yeah, see, it's still in the way. Oops. Let's see how much more I can cut off. Luckily, since it's just plastic, the little cutters are making easy work of it. So this is closer to what I wanted it to look like. It still protrudes a little too far past this base, but the base might not be the right dimensions either. And now, let's line up the holes. Oop, still doesn't open up as far as it could, but and let's see here, about there. Oops. I'm going to stand on the easier side of this since I'm left-handed. But it'll open most of the way now. If it opens too far, it'll kick the anvil out. Let's put one of the screws in. Oops. I'll put both the screws in. So the back screw I'm not going to be able to tighten up too tight because it'll pinch the tool and it won't hinge as nicely. But just for reference, it's actually a little further forward now. So yeah, it's not bad. Let's see how the flat portion ends up lining up. Yeah, the flat portion's a little further forward, but I generally don't cut stuff deep back in here. The only time I'll cut stuff deeper in here is like if I'm doing some solid 10 gauge copper wire, because then if you clip it out too far towards the front, it's not a lot of force up here because of where the pivot point is and everything. But then on top of that, it's more likely to smush it down into the plastic. But if I cut like 10 gauge copper wire back here, more force, and it cuts clean and does what I want it to do. Same applies to like small tree branches if I'm trimming a bush or something. But yeah, so I guess not as bad as I thought. Pretty good for my first attempt. I think since I don't really understand I use Tinkercad very well though, I may end up starting from scratch. One good thing about this design that I made is since the anvil sticks out beyond the blade, you don't have to worry about the tip of the blade getting damaged. Because the one issue that this tool has, I can line up the holes correctly, with this anvil that it comes with from the factory, is on some of the razor blades they actually stick out beyond and you can poke yourself with the tip of the blade, or as you can tell in this one the tip's kind of damaged and missing, and that's because it had nothing to protect it. So we'll see what happens. I may end up selling these once I get a little happier with the design and I do some testing, but yeah, otherwise hopefully that was interesting and thanks for watching.